Hello and welcome to i-nastava. Today's English class is for the third year. The topic is wrong or right. My name is Stephanie Kate Lukač and I'll be your teacher for the day. By the end of the class, you will have summarized an article on plagiarism. Also, you will have written an argumentative essay. For the class, you'll need your notebooks, something to write with, and a device with internet connection. Feel free to pause the video when necessary. For the most part, we've all been taught what's right or wrong, usually by family members, mostly parents, maybe brothers or sisters, cousins, aunts and uncles, whoever. Sometimes you've learned this in school, sometimes your friends maybe have pointed some things out. Whichever the case, I'd like to get you to brainstorm your ideas. So write them all down, what you think is right and what you think is wrong. I hope you've got those ideas brainstormed all out there. Some examples that you might have written, things that are right to do in your lives. So to help someone, especially those in need, to be kind, to return what you've borrowed, and to tell the truth. There are, I'm sure, hundreds of different examples that you've got on your list. Also, when it comes to the wrong things to do in your life, I should say. So it's wrong to steal. Anything that's not yours, don't touch it. It's wrong to gossip and judge people in that way. It's also wrong to lie. You should always tell the truth, which kind of ties into the right thing to do, correct? And it's wrong to cheat, especially in schools. Obviously, this one might be kind of, well, who thinks in what way, but cheating is cheating. There's no nice way of putting it. So before we go on to the listening task, I'd like you to pause the video and write down the questions in your notebooks. So you're going to be listening about various moral dilemmas that these people are going through. There'll be 5 speakers. You got 6 sentences, so 1 sentence will be extra. So which speaker played truant and regretted it? Who returned money to the cashier? Who informed another person of a mishap? Who had a guilty conscience? Who got caught being dishonest? And who decided against cheating on an exam? So pause the video, copy down the questions, and you'll be able to listen in a bit. Speaker A.
It was right there, lying in front of me. How could I not pick it up and take it? I'd been thinking about buying that new pair of jeans in New Yorker, and that amount would do the trick. I'd even get change back from the cashier. This had been going on in my mind for a split second, but in the end, I tapped the man on the shoulder and let him know he dropped the bill while reaching in his pocket. I wouldn't have been able to look at myself in the mirror if I hadn't done so.
Speaker B.
I've never been a whiz at math. In fact, it's always caused me headaches. I never knew what to do with all those formulas, fractions, whatnot. Well, the time came for our final exam, and a friend of mine gave me a copy of last year's test. He said that he'd heard it was going to be the same test, and that I should memorize the answers so that I'd pass. I wrestled with the idea for a long time, thinking it would be easier to do that. But my parents have always taught me to do the right thing no matter what. I decided against it and buckled down the week before, studying like I'd never studied before. In the end, it paid off. I got a B. And for your information, it wasn't the same test as last year.
Speaker C.
I wanted to crawl into a hole and hide. That's how embarrassed I was. I couldn't believe how my little white lie blew up in my face and backfired. My neighbor had asked me if I could come over and help her out with moving some furniture around the following day. I could have, but didn't really want to, so I lied and told her I threw my back out and couldn't lift anything heavy. She said she understood and that it wasn't a problem, but I felt a little like a jerk for lying. Anyways, I'd forgotten all about when the weekend came. I was feeling a little restless, so I decided to go to the gym to work off some steam. It was going great. I was working up a sweat and really getting into it. As I started lifting weights, I heard someone say behind me, "I see your back is better now." And it was my neighbor. I, I know my face went bright red and I mumbled some lame explanation, knowing full well she knew I lied. Needless to say, she doesn't really speak to me anymore, and I've learned my lesson to tell the truth.
Speaker D.
Ha ha, what an idiot. It's her own fault if she doesn't know how to count change. You don't owe her anything back. She gave it to you. That's what was going through my mind as she handed me 20 kunas more than she should have. But then a little voice in my head told me that she would have to pay that from her own pocket, and she doesn't make a lot of money. What should I do? I looked at it, and I knew I wouldn't be happy taking it, so I told her she made a mistake and gave it back to her. I felt good because she was really grateful.
Speaker E.
You have to pay for the consequences of your actions. That's what I'd learned last week. We had a big English test come up and I knew it was going to be tough. I studied quite a bit, but I still didn't know how it was going to play out. The grammar was complicated, conditional clauses, reported speech. Anyway, on the day of the exam, my friends came up with the idea that we should skip class so we could write it next time. Our classmates would tell us what was on the test, and we'd do better than if we stayed and failed. I was on the fence about it at first, but they convinced me. We came back the next week, all ready for the test. Our teacher handed us our tests, and we were in for a surprise. It wasn't the same test that everyone else got. We failed both parts in the end, and our homeroom teacher called our parents and gave us unjustified absences for both classes. I don't want to mention what happened when I got home to face the music.
If necessary, go back and play these one more time. I hope you didn't find that too difficult. So to check over your answers, let's take a look. Speaker A was the one who informed another person of a mishap. Speaker B decided against cheating on an exam. Speaker C got caught being dishonest. Speaker D returned money to the cashier. And Speaker E played truant and regretted it. So nobody had a guilty conscience. How well did you do? Throughout your listening exercise, you had heard various phrases or idioms throughout the whole exercise. Various speakers had said different idioms throughout. So what I'd like you to do is pause the video, and you can use the QR code or the link bit.ly WR idioms, and I'll take you to a word wall exercise where you need to match the idioms with the meanings. Good luck. Plagiarism. Is it acceptable or unacceptable? This is usually a hot topic among teachers and students, or should I say, between teachers and students. As a reminder, plagiarism is the act of taking someone else's work or ideas and passing them off as your own. Whether it be copying off of another student during a test, copying what someone else said or did and saying you said or did it, the list goes on and on. What I'd like you to do is pause the video and write down all the arguments that you can think of which belong to each side. Why is plagiarism wrong? Why is it okay to do? Make sure to keep your own personal opinion out of this part and focus on objective reasons for each side. Once you've finished with your arguments, grab your voice recorder and discuss the topic. Pay attention to the rubric on the right side, focusing on accuracy, vocabulary, vocalization, and clarity, as well as the duration of the recording. Good luck, and don't forget to send your recording to your teacher. With this next exercise, I'd like you to pause the video and open the link, either the link or the QR code, and take notes throughout the article, summarizing the main points. Once you've done that, make an infographic. Once again, pay attention to the rubric on the right with the points on summarization, clarity, vocabulary, and visuals. Good luck! And remember to send your work off to your teacher once you've proofread everything and gone over the rubric to make sure you've got everything necessary. When thinking about right or wrong, you can't help but thinking about an argumentative essay. Now, there are 4 paragraphs to it, the first being the introduction, where you're talking about, or I should say writing about, general information about the topic, and you must have a thesis statement. In your second paragraph, you need to first start off with your topic sentence, discussing one side of the topic right after. In your third paragraph, again, you need to start the paragraph off with a topic sentence, and then you're going on to discussing the other side of the topic. In your fourth and last paragraph, you're giving a short summary of what you've written and then ending it off with your personal opinion. So here are some tips and tricks to be able to write the best argumentative essay possible that you can. So the thesis statement that I'd mentioned earlier in the slide, it states what you're going to discuss in the essay. So you need to include both sides of the topic you're going to write about. The topic sentence that I'd also mentioned in the slide before, or the previous slide, it's kind of like a mini introduction to the paragraph. So you're talking about which view you're going to discuss in the paragraph. Now, be sure to use cohesive devices. So, for example, where you're linking your ideas, for example, in addition, moreover, what's more, etc. Or you might be giving contrast, however, on the other hand, etc. So when you're going in between the second and third paragraph, you're using the contrasts. The linking ideas, you're using within the second and third paragraphs where you're linking both arguments. And don't forget, your arguments must have support, so you need to back up your arguments as well. Some people say that scientific testing on animals is unethical. Others feel it is necessary for mankind. Discuss these views and give your opinion. Now don't forget, you'll be writing the argumentative essay. Pay attention to the rubric in the next slide before you pause the video. Keep in mind, you only give your opinion in the last paragraph. So you don't use I think or I feel anywhere else in the essay. As I'd mentioned in the previous slide, before you hand your essay in to your teacher, go through the rubric to make sure you've got all the necessary points covered. With task completion, make sure you've got each paragraph developed well and that your arguments have support or backup. As for coherence and cohesion, take a look at your cohesive devices, whether they're linking your arguments or showing contrast. Also make sure that there is a clarity and flow to your essay. As for vocabulary and grammar, take a look at the range. It's not just about whether you have everything correct or not. Pay attention to whether you have a variety of vocabulary and grammar structures. Mix things up a bit, using the passive, conditional clauses, relative clauses, etc. More advanced structures. Also, ensure you've got the appropriate length. Good luck! For the end, I'd like you to summarize 3 things that you learned today. I hope you've enjoyed the lesson, and be sure to stay safe, stay healthy, and take care of yourself.